Okay.
Was there any doubts, Mike?
The winner of the Busch Light Pole Award for the Southern 500 is Denny Hamlin, because of course it is.
Yes.
If you have a question for Denny, please raise your
That's
hand and we'll
good.
get you a mic. Start up here with Reed.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. After an average 1 and 2, you killed it in 3 and 4. What gave you the confidence that it was going to stick there?
Truthfully, I didn't have a whole lot. A lot of it just came from the balance that I had in 1 and 2. It was so superior to what I had in practice that I knew that I underdrove that corner. And then at that point, I figured I'd just go deeper into turn 3, and the result was good. So it just stuck. They made great changes. I mean, we were average at best, I thought, in practice, but for one lap, they made the adjustments they needed to, and now we need to go to work to get that for the race trim.
Go here to Jerry and then up to Zach.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires on that. Denny, you keep winning things. Can you continue this momentum through the playoffs?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's what we're here for, and certainly feel as though we got a great first round of tracks that hopefully can allow us to get some points, whether it be stage points or wins, to keep giving us a buffer when we head to the more roll the dice type tracks later in the playoffs. So that's the goal, and certainly feel like it lines up well for us.
With your history here, should there be any surprise that you're at the top of the board? I mean, you always consistently do well. What is it about Darlington?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't. I don't know that I've qualified on the pole that many times. Maybe Xfinity, but I don't know. It's just the race, the way you have to race at this track. Typically, the amount of patience you have to have here, it just suits my driving style, and it always has right from the very beginning.
Zach.
Zach Sterniello, NASCAR.com. Denny, along those lines, how do you as a driver best adapt to this track? Because it feels like it changes a lot throughout the course of where it starts to where it ends. Obviously, it's going to be a lot different even than today. So how do you as a driver adapt to what you feel that like the car needs and what you need to do to maximize it?
Yeah, it does. This track definitely goes through changes when rubber's on it versus not. Even the advantage that you have going out later in qualifying versus early is a big difference. And then, at the start of this race, there'll be some sort of sunlight, and then we're going to go into full night. So you're going to have to build some adaptability in your car, and that's something that we always plan for the end of the race, and we figure out how to make it work at the very beginning. And so certainly when you start up front like we are, that's going to help us Band-Aid the car for a little while until it comes in.
Because of that, starting on pole, what is that importance of qualifying? Obviously, it helps with the pit selection as well on what seems like a difficult or more challenging pit road. What is the importance of having a good starting position and a good qualifying session here today?
Well, we saw in the spring, right, the 24 was extremely hard to pass until he got in traffic, and then that's when things kind of changed. And so luckily we have that type of advantage to start the race. Now it could end on lap 1. We could be second. But you just never know, and I feel like what it does is gives you the advantage to set the pace, and then once you get to lap cars, hopefully you got something left.
Go to Chris.
Chris Knight, catchfans.com. Denny, I was curious what your Achilles heel is for you and the number 11 team going into the playoffs.
It's just execution. That's the only thing I can really think of that, if it's going to be based off of speed, pit crew, all those things, we're at the top of the list. You're certainly in the upper echelon of guys that are going to be racing for the championship. But it's all the variables, right, that we just don't know about. Ill-timed cautions, you pit, a green flag cycle, someone crashes coming up pit road, and a yellow comes out. It changes the complete complexion of the race. And so it's some of the things we can't and feel like there's a good balance that I try to have. I try to give them, you know, while I am able to have access to everything, I give them a little bit of space during the playoffs just to, you know, I don't think it's necessarily fair if I go and see their strategy meeting and then go sit in mine. I generally know I certainly know more about their cars and what they have and, you know, how they prepare more so than any other driver knows for any other team. But I do give them their competition space when it comes to the playoffs, because ultimately, you know, while I'm still driving, nothing would anger me more than to give them a secret of mine, and then it knocks me out of the playoffs. So I let them do themselves for these 10.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Your reaction to Thursday's hearing and some of the things that were said in court or shared that were private conversations between each side about the other side.
Yeah, I mean, from our side, what was shared was just, you know, talk and banter amongst ourselves and has nothing to do with the actual case itself, and we provided important documents to the case.
Is the playoffs are beginning and this trial is looming larger and larger as a possibility? Is it a good thing for the sport? Is it a bad thing for the sport? Is it a distraction?
I don't know. You know, everyone has to deal with it. The team deals with it. You know, we have our own stuff that we're having to deal with while going through this. But, you know, one thing's for sure is 2026 will be better.
Go in the back here.
I'm Dropper Motorsports Today. First off, congrats on pole, Denny. So this is only your second pole at Darlington, regardless of all the success you've had here. And we've touched a little bit already on track position and all the other factors. But mentally, what does this say going into this weekend, being able to say you are starting on pole for the Southern 500? Does that differ from any other years where you may have started more back of the pack and still worked your way up?
Yeah, I mean, it does, simply because I just felt as though we struggled during practice, and I was worried about, well, if we're stuck in this box for the weekend of this setup, then we're probably going to qualify bad. We're probably not going to get very good stage points, on and on and on. But that's thinking way too far ahead. It's about the moment, and what I feel like we can do well is that we kind of put things aside and say, okay, we'll handle that later. Let's figure out what we can do to go fast for one lap. Tell me what you need for that. And so I focus on that, give them the information, and they make the proper adjustments like they did right there. So it's a big momentum boost for myself personally, knowing that we are able to get the car where it needs to be, even though it was considerably off in practice.
Thanks. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Denny? We got two more. We'll go in the back and then up here to Mike. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Zach Boyer for Rolling the Bottom. Denny, you talk about how you're the most you don't know anyone else more competitive than you. I'm curious, if you didn't have that competitiveness, do you think you would still be as successful? Because you have that drive to continue to be really good. Mm-hmm. And you also have all these things going on, and you're still winning poles, you're still winning races.
No is the answer. Just simply because I've accomplished everything that I'd hoped to accomplish in the sport. I've won way more than I never thought I'd even be here, much less, you know, have the accomplishments and the wins. So at my age, you know, I've made the money I'm gonna make. I don't need any more of that. So it's, to me personally, it's just what drives me is the competition, right? Knowing that I'm still able to go out and win every 7 days is what drives me. And certainly, you know, over the last few years, just shifting my goals a little bit to, you know, moving to a certain win total that, you know, that would motivate me. That's what keeps me kind of going. If I didn't have those little short-term goals, then no, I wouldn't be here. That's for sure. Not at this age.
Thank you, Denny.
I'll go up to Mike and then wrap with Lee.
Mike Embry, Auto Week. Unlike many years here, it's not going to be crazy hot tomorrow. How's that going to be a difference for driver and car with the heat and humidity not as crazy?
For the drivers, it's going to be much better for the young guys that can't stand the heat. It'll be a lot better for them. But generally speaking, for the car, it's just going to tighten up the competition. What it's going to do is just make the lap times kind of shrink slightly. We're not talking a big amount, but slightly. And so track position will just mean a little bit more tomorrow because of the cooler conditions.
Finish up with Lee.
If I could follow up on that real quick, have you gone to a cool suit, or are you still saying, okay, just wanted to make
Best way we found the best way to have one not fail is to not run one.
How has the Denny Hamlin sitting on the wall at Phoenix, I think it was 2010, how have you changed since then? Because that moment, your face will never, it's kind of like etched in our minds, your disappointment. How have you learned to overcome those obstacles and just put your eye on the prize?
Yeah, I mean, I still, if the same thing happened today, I still would be very, very disappointed, right? But the difference is I knew in that, or what I didn't understand in that moment was that that's not something I controlled, right? That, that was just something that was very unfortunate that happened, that, we go from essentially locking up the championship to unfortunately losing it the next week. And so I just have been more content being disappointed with the things that I can control versus the things I can't. And that's certainly put me in a much, much better headspace as I've gotten older.
How did you learn to deal with it like that? Did you work with
Just age. I mean, age. I wish I could say there was a light switch or something in general that prompted it, but overall, it was just experience and understanding that your mental health cannot stand being pissed off all the time. So you have to just understand the little victories, do the best you can, be okay with that, and whatever the result is, it is.
Okay, congratulations on the
you.
poll, and good luck tomorrow.